All right, so part two of my previous video where I talked about a few faulty thinking patterns, cognitive distortions, automatic negative thoughts. And so this video really will just focus on some techniques to use to manage the faulty thinking that you have. I think one of the important things in, how you manage faulty thinking is really starting to label. That is something that I tell people all the time. When you're able to match up, like, this is the type of thinking that I'm having in the moment, I think what that really does, like I always say in my videos, it allows you to take a step back. I think when we are going through certain situations, when we are thinking certain patterns, and like I mentioned in the video, we aren't able to focus on everything that truly is going on, and we're not able to decipher what is really real and not real. And so when you start to take that moment to be like, okay, in this moment I am experiencing, or I feel like I am magnifying this situation. Okay, so I'm magnifying this situation. Maybe I'm blowing it out of proportion. So I think it allows you to think through, like, okay, this is what I'm currently doing, or maybe I'm putting should statements on people. I'm expecting someone to, do all these things, and I haven't even told them. So one is just starting to just label. Taking the sheet that I provided for my last video, the PDF of the different types of faulty thinking, and really start matching them up. So I am feeling this way or this way. And so that is step one. Just start with that. Just start labeling it and see how that feels, because I think it can feel very empowering when you're able to take that control and not allow the thoughts to take over. The next thing is, how do you turn some of those faulty thinking patterns into more rational thoughts? I think, I say I think a lot. So when you turn it into a more rational thought, that is what you will replace those thoughts when they pop up. So you have a faulty thought. You label it, and then it's about how do you replace that thought that you're having. So yes, I'm thinking that my presentation was horrible. However, people did provide me compliments and did give me feedback that I really did great. And so those are the things to really do. Also, it's about, if you have certain reoccurring faulty thinking patterns, then having a certain statement that you create for yourself, that every time this faulty thinking pattern occurs, that you use that rational thinking pattern to replace it. So it is a learning, process. It isn't something that's going to happen overnight, but it's something that you repeatedly do, just so it is something that you become mindful of, and also it is something that you kind of prioritize, and hopefully over time it gets a little bit better. I don't know if this is really a tip or, it's not really a technique, but another thing is also just starting to jot down these thoughts, just so you start noticing when they happen. I think that's I should have made that number one, but it is something that when you start to notice, certain thoughts, I think it becomes more real. Sometimes when those automatic, thoughts pop up, you aren't very aware that they are popping up at times. You kind of may go on about the day, go on about the situation, feel those symptoms that you feel, that those anxiety symptoms or frustration, whatever it is. But I think one of the things that could be helpful is starting to just, carry around a journal, a little notepad. And so whenever a situation occurs, whenever somebody, does something and you recognize that you're having those faulty thoughts, write it down, and, come back to this notepad at the end of the day, at the end of the week, for you to really see how often you do this. Because it needs to happen. You need to know what you're doing just so you can create a plan on how you manage it. Next tip is really about giving it a name. And, when you can, provide some humor to some of the things that you do, I think it allows you to take that control back that you really, you feel like you may be missing. So label it. Oh, I don't know. Peggy Sue is showing up again. I don't know where I got Peggy Sue from, but maybe oh, that's just Sarah showing up again. That's just Ashley, showing her face again. That's just that's just Pam wanting me to, not focus on, the good things, and look at Pam, showing up again in my thoughts. Here she is, wanting to ruin the day, not wanting me to focus on, the positives of the situation. So I know I kind of threw some names out there, but I think it can also be helpful because it adds humor to it. It allows you to notice, like I mentioned earlier, and also it allows you to, say like, hey, this is something that I can laugh at, and also I can control it in some way, when I get to that point. But it is something that, in a sense, it's a way that you can laugh at yourself. It's a way that you can be a little kinder to yourself, that it's happening. And you can take an approach to, make a change. It doesn't have to be something where it's just something that happens and it's just something you're going to have to deal with all your life, or it's never going to change. Like, you can make that change, but have different approaches in how you deal with that. Another thing is just also, along with your notepad, I think just be mindful of, the situations that trigger some of these thoughts. Be mindful of some of the situations or people that trigger certain faulty thoughts that you have. And I think really kind of get down to, why these particular situations or people trigger certain thoughts out of you. And I think, ask those questions, be curious, go into, situations with an open mind, go into situations asking questions, wanting to know things before you jump to conclusions, go into situations not already thinking you know what's going to happen. Give certain situations a chance to evolve. And then, you can, the thing is, with cognitive distortions, it's kind of like you're taking away some aspect of really experiencing certain situations, especially with others. You're taking away that experience from yourself and just being able to experience life and what it's all about. What it's about is that you won't know what's going to happen every second of the day. Things can change, but it's all about, the adjustments that you can make along the way. It's knowing that everything is not, set in stone. It's that, things may happen, mistakes will occur, presentations may not go as well as you planned. You still need to work on certain things, certain skills for yourself. Like, all of these are ways that you develop, that self, that self-worth, that self-talk. And so you have to allow yourself to experience things and not already want things to happen the way you would like for them to happen or how you think they could happen. So the next tip that I have is a way that you can just question or challenge your thoughts. So in, certain moments, some questions to ask yourself to really manage the faulty thinking and really get back to a more rational thought. I think one is, what evidence do I have for thinking this thought right now? The second question can I look at this situation from another perspective? How would a friend look at this situation? The next question would be, if you were giving advice to someone close to you and they were experiencing this thought that you're having, what advice would you give them? Also, another question is, what are the things in this situation or in this person that I'm dismissing or I'm not focusing on because I am focusing on this faulty thinking pattern I'm having? Those were just a few questions to, start up the process of being present in the moment. Well, yeah, those were a few tips. Once again, if you found this helpful, please like the video. Show me some love. But thanks again for tuning in. I will talk to you later. Peace.